Sid Lowe with us. So what's been the reaction today in Spain to this, Sid?
Well, I think the reaction, the kind of the initial reaction, of course, is a frustration and sadness and anger that here we are again. This is happening again. A sense that somehow we don't. It just keeps on coming back, and there needs to be something done. If you look in terms of the way the game was managed, and I'm sure some of our viewers will know this, but just in case for those that don't, the protocol that was done at the weekend is the protocol that is in place, the anti-racism protocol in the federation, run by the referees, which is that you stop the game the first time, you make an announcement over the loudspeaker, and if it happens again at that point, the referee takes the team off the pitch. Now, obviously, it's not always going to play out that way. We saw a case about 3 weeks ago when a goalkeeper, Rai Machaonda, was racially abused, and the team walked off. But because the protocol is what it is, that team, Rai Machaonda, lost the game 3-0. The goalkeeper got a 2-game ban because he'd been sent off in arguing with the referee because the referee wasn't aware of what was going on, and he was arguing with him. And they said, if this is what we have to do, this is what we have to do. We'll lose another game. And another game and another game if we have to, because this needs to change. And I think there may well now be a desire to look at that protocol and think, should we shift this? Should we change this? Because at the moment, of course, because the mechanics in place are what they are, they don't allow, if you like, for clubs or for players to kind of take their own action. And so that means that in situations like the one that Ryan Machaonda had, that they walked off the pitch, you would forfeit the game. I also thought it was very interesting listening to Nico Williams make a really important point, which I think is sometimes overlooked. This isn't just about the footballers who are being abused. It's about what it means for everybody. It's about what it means for other black athletes and other black people in society. And it's not just about them. And as Iñaki says, we've got to a point where we can deal with this, but it's not just about us. And then the final point, I suppose, is to show that this, again, punches a hole in that argument of some of those people who try to justify some of the racist abuse of Vinicius by saying it's because he's provocative. It is not an acceptable excuse.
Of course not. And as Sid said, here we go again.
And here we go again. And we're constantly having these conversations around Spanish football, around what can be done, what they're doing, what should be done. And while those protocols are in place, and I have absolutely no problems with the protocols, those protocols have to continue to evolve as these issues keep happening, as fans find ways around them or hide behind the legal system or the bureaucracy of it all. So I'm pleased to see that protocols, that the referee stopped the game, that the announcement was made. I'm happy to see Nico Williams kind of have the response and the very measured post-game interview that he did, but it speaks to a larger responsibility of the league around protecting, and Sid is absolutely right, not just black players on the park, but what it means for black fans in the stadiums, what it means for black people in your societies, in your communities, and how they continue to be impacted by this racist behavior. I still feel that this is a symptom of some of the softly approach that we saw from the league and the Spanish courts in seasons gone by. It became a global issue, the issue in Spanish football. It became a global talking point. And I am happy to see that Spanish football are taking their responsibilities more seriously. Now I'd like to see the larger fan base also take their responsibilities just as seriously. The day of the silent majority has been long gone. So it's no longer good enough to say, well, it was the guy over there, it wasn't me. Unless you're speaking up about it, unless you're assisting in any investigations that are to come, you're still a part of the problem if you aren't making yourself a part of the solution.
Yes, Sid, everybody has a part to play here to make sure that this stops.
Yeah, and as Shaq was saying about the if you like, the evolution, the increasing desire and willingness to take measures. I think one of the things, and I say this as someone who's lived in Spain for over 20 years now, you are seeing a shift in the way that this is dealt with. You are seeing an awareness that possibly wasn't there before, a recognition of how to, or at least how to try to tackle this, even if you're not always going to succeed. And I think one of the important things that we've seen in some of these cases is, and this genuinely wasn't the case 10 or 15 years ago. So, for example, Atletico Madrid, if they can identify the fans that did this, and they'll already be saying today that they've identified at least one of them, that fan will be banned. That fan will end up in front of a judge. There will be action, and that is really, really important. And as Shaq says, that's not always been the case. Of course, we saw the case before a Madrid derby in which the local court said, well, we can't identify these people outside the stadium. There are too many of them. And in the context, they even said, in the context of a rivalry, a footballing rivalry, that's no context to justify racist abuse. Oh, it's okay because it's in the context of a tough and aggressive and an important derby. And I think those kind of things are being challenged now. And I also think it's probably worth making a point here. And a lot of this, or some of this at least, has been done by Vinicius himself, by standing up, by forcing people to approach this, by forcing people to kind of be confronted by it and to deal with it. And Vinicius has forced that through. That hasn't happened because the footballing authorities have thought, we should do something, and they've just kind of done it off their own back. No, it's happened because Vinicius has forced it through. Remember the response of La Liga to the first round of abuse that Vinicius got. It was Vinicius who forced them onto the back foot and forced them to say, right, okay, we need to do something about this. And I think in that sense, that part of it, I think we really do need to give Vinicius enormous credit for the bravery and the willingness to stand up for himself, yes, but on behalf of loads of other black athletes and black people across Spain. And I think that's really important. I think at times we've lost sight of that.
Yeah, obviously great to hear the players speaking out about this and making sure that they will not stand for it. And we hope to see more change happening here. Sid, we're going to let you go. Thank you so much for being with us. I'll speak to you again soon.